Hello world, Fuji here. Please pardon the reflection of my glasses. It's a reflection of myself. This video is an introduction to Darkest Dungeon. For people who play the game, you're probably pretty familiar with everything, so you can kind of skip this and get into the Let's Play if you wanted to watch the Let's Play. That's really what this video is for. I wanted to talk about what Darkest Dungeon is, and at its heart, Darkest Dungeon is an RPG. It's pretty difficult to identify Darkest Dungeon as an RPG because the heroes that you start with aren't necessarily the heroes that you end with. There's going to be a lot of heroes that enter your employ, and as the main character, you don't really show up in the game. You're in air doing a state, and I guess we're going to explore the Darkest Dungeon and banish the evil that has taken hold of it. Although that seems like a pretty tall order. As far as the lore goes, I mean, that's really all there is to it. It's Lovecraftian, horror, sort of a mythos attached to it. And as you're going through the game, you'll see a lot of things that aren't present in other RPGs. Sort of, kind of an RNG, I suppose. There's a lot of curios. That's the best way to describe it. There's a lot of items that may confer benefits or inflict afflictions, I suppose. I chose the term affliction because your guys can go crazy and become afflicted. It's not too common if you're pretty good at managing your stress, but it happens here and there. People take crits to the face and they go insane. So that's pretty much the heart of the game right there. Your objective, or our objective, or my objective is a better way to put it. My objective when I'm playing the game is to complete dungeon runs as safely as I can. Besides being an RPG, this game is about collecting resources and investing those resources. We'll get a little bit more into the mechanics and how those resources are spent when we jump in-game, which we're going to do right after this video of me talking. What resources are we collecting? What resources are we collecting? You may ask. We are collecting heirlooms and gold. Heirlooms are used to upgrade your town. Gold is used to upgrade your heroes. And sort of to, let's say, treat your heroes. Because your heroes are slowly going insane from this crazy place we're putting them into. Right? What I mean about the resource collecting and the investment being a part of the game is that these heroes, like I said earlier, are expendable, and the ones that you start off with aren't necessarily the ones you're going to end with. There's no guarantee they'll survive. You might go camp in the middle of a medium mission, get ambushed in the middle of the night by 4 bandits who all crit you in the face and kill your rogue instantly, and then your run's done, your rogue is dead, you have to abandon, you have to retreat, and the game just kicks you when you're down. That's how the game works. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, and you just crit everything in the face and steamroll your way through the Weisentag. That's great. It's about as common as you getting kicked when you're down, right? So let's jump in game, and let's talk about the heroes themselves, their resistances, crits, the town, all kinds of good stuff.
Absent in the sunken faces of passers-by, a glimmer of hope.
Alright, that's going to be a pain to fix again, but let's go ahead and mute all that stuff because I tend to be quiet. Now we're in town, let's go ahead and talk about everything. When you first start the game, all this stuff won't be available. I think it'll just be your stagecoach and your graveyard. But let's look at all these other things, and you can see my guys are going insane already. So, Stagecoach. This is the first thing I recommend upgrading. You can see I only took it this far, even though I could take it farther. Definitely get your Stagecoach network up to 4, like right away. Should be the first thing you do, because your heroes aren't really going to last. Barracks, not as important for me. I want lots of dudes, so I have lots of dudes. That's what's up. stress relief. Upgrade this with impunity. Actually, don't. Just upgrade sort of what you need to. I kind of like having 2 slots of these. Some people only gamble. Some people only go to the brothel. Sometimes you just don't have enough room in the brothel and you got plenty of extra stuff to upgrade, so you do it. While we're on the topic of stress management, this is where your guys need to go if they get an affliction. Well, actually, they might be able to go to the tavern for an affliction too. I just assumed that it was Abby only. So I got these 2 guys in here, and let's go ahead and talk about, no, we'll get to that later. The Sanitarium. Treats, quirks, and diseases. I think they're basically the same thing. I think I've taken care of all of them, but we'll get into the quirks after this. You definitely want to upgrade this treatment cost, for sure. It's pretty cheap, doesn't really use anything that you need that much. And then this, you can see I'm kind of struggling to get, what are these? Busts? Yeah, to get the busts, to get number of slots of 3. But then again, like I said, this game is about resource management and investing. So sometimes removing these quirks is just not worth it because you're going to get rid of the hero anyway. So you're going to dismiss him and get a new guy, right? Unless they're level 4, like Dismas here, who never died. He had a couple opportunities to, but he didn't. Here's the guild. This is probably your most important building here. You definitely want to get up to level 3 pretty quick. This is probably where you'll be making your first important investments because as you give your guys skills, let's see. Oh, Dismas is probably the best. See, once I get these up to 4, you can see the difference is the accuracy base and the crit mod, right? If he has a level, oh, geez. I think as far as the accuracy base and the crit mod, what it used to be was somewhere in the 80s, and well, we might be able to look at a different hero. So let's see. Yeah, well, 85 and 5%. So him changing his accuracy to 100% is really important because enemies can still dodge. So guaranteed as long as they don't dodge, he's going to hit. And here's your second most important blacksmith. This one I found really difficult to upgrade, actually. I've only got his stuff up to here, so technically right now I have, not technically, most assuredly, I have my guild upgraded way higher than my blacksmith. And this nomad wagon is like total crap. Don't even bother with it. That's way too expensive, even if it's really cool, right? Oh, that's a town. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the heroes. So we're going to pick Dismas. He's my favorite. Oh god, clicking is hard. So, resistances. This is basically what the game is. well, how the game calculates what happens to you, right? So, I guess we can explain all these. Stun's pretty self-explanatory, actually. Like, monsters will attack you with certain attacks that can inflict stun. You can see these guys are like, I do not want to go out anymore. Certain monsters will attack you with certain attacks that will inflict stun. Dismas is not going to get stunned 85% of the time. Same with blight and disease. I'm guessing the diseases come here. I've seen rabies and all kinds of stuff. They're just debilitating quirks. Death blow is when you're at death's door. So hitting 0, where's his health? His health is 30. When he goes from 30 to 0, he's at death's door. Every attack from there on out has a 33% chance to kill him. And then he's gone forever, right? And he has all this good stuff. We don't want him to die. So if he ever gets to that point, we're going to heal him, get him out of death's door range, and then run away. Run away. Move, certain attacks will jumble up where you guys are, and that doesn't seem like a really big deal, that them getting jumbled around. They kind of line up in 1, 2, 3, 4 fashion. But you can see certain attacks are only available in certain places, and that can really screw you over with less mobile people and with people who can only attack from certain areas or are just close range only or long range only, right? Or even if they're mid range only, like certain heroes are. Debuff is, if you don't know what a debuff is, no. A debuff can be anything from lowering your evasion, to lowering your accuracy, to lowering your damage, and this is your ability to not get that debuff from an enemy. And I think we skip bleed. Bleeding is damage over time, just like blight is. And traps. Traps you may or may not spot, depending on whether or not your heroes can scout. And I do not see a scouting chance here, but you can see I have an item that increases this guy's scouting chance. And what scouting does is you enter a room and you have a set chance to see what's coming ahead of you. And sometimes you will see things like this little button, or you may see red swords that indicate an enemy, or you might see a blue box that indicates an item, or a blue wall that indicates a wall. But we don't really need to get into all that. Traps are just things that damage you and stress you out. As far as stress goes, this guy is stressed out. See that? Heroes will heal their health when they come back in town, but they will not heal their stress. And what can happen is they will get an affliction, or they may turn out to not get an affliction when they get 100 stress. Sometimes, I'm not really sure what it's called, but I've had it happen a few times, and instead of getting something that's bad, like fearful or masochistic, they'll get something that's good, and it'll give them a buff, and it'll be like focused, or powerful, or virtuous, or I don't know, all kinds of things, right? But they'll probably usually still be stressed. Probably not 100 out of 100, but, well, I guess it's certainly possible to get back up to 100 stress after you've proven yourself righteous, but usually somewhere in the 40s or 50s, which isn't too bad. This is where this chick is at. She has 60 stress, and I'm not really treating her right now, probably because I'm going to use her again. I was going to get some in-game footage of some crits, so let's go ahead. I think I'm too lazy. Essentially, crits, let's just talk about them. Crits are your #1 resource for managing stress, really, besides camping. We'll get into some of the camping skills. A crit is dependent on 1, your attack, 2, your items, and 3, your base critical chance, which is influenced by both your weapons and whatever kind of character you use. Right now, my favorite character is actually the Grave Robber. The Grave Robber. Right, so let's see what she's got. Eagle Eye range, 3% crit, so an extra 3%. Against certain types of monsters, she has extra crit. And that's about it as far as crit goes. So her base critical chance is 1% from a trinket, and 6% from her weapon, which is the balanced pick and knives. But you'll see these attacks have a crit mod, like lunging has a 13% crit mod. So as far as my math goes, she has a 20% chance to crit. Whenever she throws a dagger, 20% chance to crit, etc., etc. Here, you can see not very good crit chance. Here, pretty good, 15% chance to crit. A crit will do a ton of damage. From my experience, it's about 300% damage. It might be somewhere in the 250% range. It's tough to tell because your damage may vary anywhere from 6 to 9 here. So if, I'm seeing like sometimes people hit for like 38, like something insane. Probably not this Grave Robber. She hits for like 28. So, I mean, it seems like triple damage, right? Triple 1 and 9 damage hit. And the other thing crits will do is they'll decrease the stress of the person who crits, and usually like the 2 people next to them, sometimes all 4 people. I'm not really sure how that works, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's just people who kind of seem to like each other, or the game just decides they're all encouraged by a crit.
Be gone, fiend.
Or who's encouraged by a crit. But crits are king. Conversely, eating a crit, not only will you take like triple damage, if it's an AoE, forget about it, and you're taking like 500% of the damage that you normally would take from just even a single pick to the face crit. But your guys will all get stressed out, probably somewhere in the range of 14 stress in 1 hit. And you can see, like, you take 2-3 crits and your guys are going to be super stressed. And it's really difficult to manage that other than with your camping skills. And the people who are best equipped to deal with stress are actually, she's pretty good. She's pretty good. She has gallows humor, and as does our Rogi, or our highwayman. He has gallows humor. So he may reduce stress by 20 most of the time. And for himself, it reduces by 25, right? Some people have really good individual stress management, although it comes at a cost. Let's see, where's Revel? So healing by 15% and reducing stress by 20 is pretty good, but losing speed and accuracy is pretty bad. And let's look at waifu. So waifu chant, I think the only people who are religious are these crusaders and waifu here. So the Vestals and the Crusaders. So as good as this looks, it's not super great. Same with Prey. Prey. I don't have Prey on her, but if they're religious, it reduces their stress. So if for religious people, reduce stress by 60 at maximum. Pretty big deal. Pretty big dealio. Him, he's pretty selfish with his stress management, and so is this guy's actually really good at managing stress too. Guaranteed 60, whether or not they're religious, right? As long as everybody has over 15. And for him, he'll reduce someone other than him stress by 30. So that's enough of camping skills. Let's talk about the quirks. Some quirks are good. We went over some of the good ones before. I talked about crits. Some are bad. I tend to leave the ones that aren't super bad. Most of these ones right here, like these obsessions, just means that they're gonna investigate curios on their own, which sometimes ends up being like really, really bad. Sometimes it doesn't even matter. Sometimes it doesn't even matter again. Sometimes a curio has no effect. Sometimes it's a positive effect. In that case, it didn't really matter because you're going to investigate it anyways. Sometimes it's something you'd rather avoid, and he goes and does it, but he I don't know, gets another negative quirk, or he gets bleeding or blight or something like that. And I guess let's try and find, is anyone in here? Some people have some really bad ones. Like this guy. He has a ton, but none of them are really bad. So some of them affect what you can do in town. This one's kind of bad, but his crit's pretty bad with everything anyways. So he's not really a critter. Well, that's a pretty big crit mod actually. But he's not really a critter, so I'm not really worried about the minus 1% crit. All this other stuff, like, I don't even bother. It's not worth the investment. It's like 700 gold and a week. Basically, he's out of commission, like this guy is, because he's in here praying. I can't do anything else with him, right? Usually it's these guys that have some bad ones. I think she's like diseased. Or maybe it's the other one. Yeah, see, it's a pretty bad one. Bad humors. I think I let my other one die, or got rid of her. But she had like syphilis and rabies, which is bad news bears, right? Oh, that'll do it. Happy hunting, guys.